Good morning, everyone, and I hope you all are doing well today. So, welcome back to lesson three, like day three of our classes. So, before we get started, let me ask you a quick question. How many of you have joined through a laptop today, and how many through a mobile? Just put a laptop or mobile in the chat so that I know how to guide you through the hands-on part. Laptop. Okay, I see a mobile. Okay, great. So, uh, I personally suggest join through laptop if possible because we'll be doing the hands-on activity. We'll be starting the lesson one today. But still, like if it's not possible for the lesson one, you can go through mobile. But yeah, make sure like from tomorrow you join through laptop for better experience and you can work along with me. So yeah. And again, thank you for showing up consistently. Your interest and discipline really matters when you are learning AI journey or even like any journey. So today we are officially starting with lesson one, Python basics. But since I got the poll, like you want, some of you are interested to see how a machine learning model would look like. In the end of the lesson, I have put in a machine learning model on a data set. I'll just show you like how a machine learning model will also look like. So let's start with the session and you can make it like let's make it as interactive as possible. Like you can feel free to ask questions and you don't have to hesitate. And yeah, and one more thing, like if you already know Python, stay a little patient because we'll start with the basics, but gradually we'll move to more complex topics. And yeah, and I can assure you like it will be worth the wait. And but put it in the chat one if you are programming for the first time, and if you already know Python, you can put two in the chat. Depending on that, like I can adjust the class speed. So first time, it's okay. Others, I'm expecting like you know Python already. Okay, use ChatGPT for Python coding. It's okay. And like I'm not going fast, it's okay, but preferred. Okay, sure. So we'll go very slow, very beginner friendly. Don't worry, you'll be able to understand it. So first we have to set how to work on a Google Colab. So yesterday we had a quick understanding, but I'll show it again. So let me share the link first. So you can click on it and open it on your laptops. And there's a common error. What happens with us is sometimes we get notebook loading error with this Google Colab when we are doing it for the first time. Don't worry about it. I'll tell you how to. Yeah, I'm sharing the screen. Yeah, I'm now sharing the screen. So I have sent the lesson one document with you. So you can all open it from your end, but make sure your Gmail login should be there. Without Gmail login, we cannot work on this. So let me show you. So this, if you are able to luckily open it, most like 90% will be directly opening it, but 10% times like we'll be getting an error saying notebook loading error. Then like anybody having this issue of error, or all of you are able to open this. Till here it's done. You just have to click on the link, it would open. But make sure you're logged in to your Gmail ID. Open, great. So the next step it would be like to create a file copy, because I just gave you the view access. You cannot edit on my document. You can only view this. So you have to go to this left side. You see this file icon, right? You have to go. onto this file here, if you click onto this file here, you see a save a copy in Drive. If you click on this, a copy of your document would be created and it would automatically save onto your Google Drive. So like this, a copy would be created. So if you ever want to share it with me or some then you can have to change the access. So and if it is done till here, so when I'm working on my document, like you can also type codes on your document and run it. When it's connected for the first time, it takes like 10-15 seconds more because it's connecting to the Google servers. But after that, it's faster depending on your internet speed. So I'll be showing activities here and you can code along on your sheets to see how the outputs are. So here onto this Google Colab, we can do the coding part and texting part. Most of the part, like you need to have only the code cells because you don't have to do any texting onto this Google Colab. So you can click on this plus code on the top for a new code cell here. Or if you hover onto the middle of the screen, you can see the plus code onto the screen also. Whenever you want to do any coding part, you can click on this plus code and you get a new code cell. You can run this button for running a code. These are the basics of Google Colab. This copy will be saved onto your Gmail Google Drive. So directly when you make a copy, it is going to save it on your Gmail Google Drive. So you don't have to, like after the class you want to fetch the document again, you have to check into your Google Drives. Like it's directly saved. Like you'll see like Google Collab as a option there. So you can check it. Like if you're not able to do it, like I'll guide you after the class also. So yeah, and a quick roadmap, like we have already understood this roadmap. I'm not going into details. So you're going to learn it in 7 steps. And then in the final, we have the projects. So let's start with introduction to Python directly. And yeah, so before I start, let me ask you, like, which programming language between Python and Java is older? What do you think? Which one is older, Python or Java?
Java.
Python.
Java, any other answers? Python, okay.
Py-
Java, okay. Okay. So Java kind of gives that older brother feeling, right, from the name itself. So, but yeah, Python is actually older. It released in 1991, but Java came out in 1995. But Python rise to fame wasn't a sudden jump, but a rather like a steady climb over time, especially with increased focus on this data science and machine learning in the early 2010s. Python got to the rise. So, we all know like for Python coding, we need integrated development and environments like Google Colab. So, we are working on Google Colab. You can even work on installed Anaconda, PyCharm, etc. But right now, don't complicate things. Do start working on Google Colab. It's easy to start with. So it's similar to the real world, like how we work on the Jupyter notebooks and all. This is officially the online version of Jupyter notebooks. So again, so Python is a high-level interpreted and interactive programming language that is known for its readability and simplicity. So just to clear the understanding that when we say high level, because it's closer to human language, making it easier to write and read compared to other programming languages. You will be able to experience in a couple of minutes that. And when we say interpreted, which means we don't need to compile the code. Like if you have knowledge of other programming languages, like you would have heard about this word compiling. So Python runs the code line by line, which helps with testing and debugging also very easily. It's also interactive programming language. So it's like allowing you to write and run code directly inside the Python shell itself, making it great for quick experiments and learning. Like it's line by line code execution, like you'll be easily able to understand where the error is. So if someone's hearing compiling for the first time, it's a process of actually translating the code into programming, like the code you write in programming languages of like C or Java, they have to first compile into lower level language, usually the machine code, which computer can understand and execute. So, uh, but here we don't have a compiler inside, like in Python, in the sense like you typically write the code, run the, like you can directly run it. So it's all happening all at once before the program runs, like which makes this execution faster compared, like in other programming languages slightly it's fast. So yeah, let me don't complicate going into these things right away. Just understand that it's high level interpreted and interactive programming language that is known for its readability and simplicity. So, and it's excellent language for beginners. It's used to develop a wide range of applications. So right away start with Python basics, not with anymore like theory again. So in the Google Colab, so we have this code cells already. So for all lessons, it would be like you have the activities, we start working on to this activities here, but it's not needed. Like you have to always work on to this same shells like this. You can click on the new code cells and keep on executing. And again, so you see this green lines here, right? These are nothing but these are the comments. This is not the codes. In the code cell, whenever you write something, first line of code, and you give a hash before it, they become comments. So this is for making it more understandable when you are working in a team. So when you just add in comments, people will understand what is that all about. So then, yeah. So let's start with our basic Python operators. Operators in Python are special symbols that perform operations on variables and values. What is variables and all? We are going to discuss in the coming activities. So if you want to do basic arithmetic operation like addition, so we have done this just a couple of minutes back. 3 plus 4. If you write 3 plus 4 and run it, it's a code in Python. So for getting a output, so like similar code you want to execute in Java or C language, it would take at least 5 to 6 lines of code. So if you want to do the subtraction, the operator is minus here. So it's simple. 9 minus 8, you run it, you get the code 1. So you can also try on your Google Colab, like on this code cells, like try to give some addition, run it. You'll be able to see the output. So multiplication, asterisk. So this is the so usually in mathematics, you have the cross. So here, if you are multiplying, you have to use this asterisk symbol. Slowly, we are trying the language of Python, because if you're learning any new human language also, we have a different, like for each word there's a different word in the other, like we have to translate it. The same way when you're learning Python programming language, it's a machine language. We have few rules, few new terminologies which we have to learn. So for multiplication, it's asterisk. When you're doing division, is the backslash like this, 8 by 4. So you got an output here, 8 divided by 4. So these four are basic: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. That's the reason I just went fast. But you see a new operator here, modulus. 6 modulus 2. So this is a new operator. What do you think would be the output? 6 modulus 2. You can read the comment also. What do you
Zero.
think this? 0, correct. So modulus operator, when you use it, it returns the remainder of the division. So you just got the 0 here, right? So let me use the modulus again. 7 modulus 2. What do you think the output would be?
It's one.
1, correct. So when you use the modulus, is that it is actually giving you the remainder. So reminder. So you get this as the output when you use the symbol modulus. So And there's one more operator, double asterisk. When you use the double asterisk, it raises one number to the power of another. Like you have 2 asterisk 2. So you get the power like when you have 16 asterisk. So one asterisk is for multiplication, double asterisk for exponential. So you got the 16 power of 16 here. So this is about exponentation. So then the double backslash. So whenever you are dividing with double backslash, we call it floor division. What happens is divides one number by another, rounds down to the nearest integer. So if you quietly observe here, till now, whenever we have used other operators, you got a round off like integer values in the output. 21. So you got 0. But when I have used this division, you see the decimal number here, right? You got 2.0. We got the decimal number. We call it, so what is like we call it decimal numbers in English, but in Python programming, we call it floating point numbers. So uh, got the output like 2.0 here. But if you want to divide and get the value rounded down to the nearest integer, you can use the float division, double backslashes. If I divide 3 by 2. So you just got one. Usually, like you divide 3 by 2 with single backslash, it's 1.5. So whenever you use this float division, it divides one number by another and rounds down to the nearest integer. So we just got the round of value to 1 here. So likewise, 18 divided by 8 is 2.25. So 18 float division 8, it would be rounded off to 2. So these are the basic operators. So then if you want to write a string, if I want to string in the sense, if I want to write some text. So if I have written Python here and run it. So we see the error saying like name Python is not defined because we have some rules to learn. Like whenever we are typing numbers in Python, we directly write the numbers where you don't have to do any fancy things around it. But whenever you're typing a text here, we have to make sure to intimate Python that it's a text, we have to put quotations, single or double around it for making Python to understand it's a text. So either you have to write it like that, either or you have to use the single quotations like this. Hello, good morning. So the first rule we have learned is whenever you write a text, to make Python understand it's a text, we have to include it in quotations. So any questions still here?
Yeah,
Let me share my. Yeah.
which one is preferred, double quote or single quote for good coding
Both can be
practice?
used. Both
What
can
can
be
be
used.
used?
Like there's no rule.
Okay.
So we can use both single or double quotations. So let's start working a bit with strings. So if you have addition operator between strings, what happens? Let's look at it. Like we have seen addition operator here, 3 plus 4, we just got the addition here, right? So if you have two strings, whenever I say, like right now I'm starting terminology of Python because we call it's not a text in Python. Whenever you write anything in quotations, it becomes string. So we call it string. So hey, I'm using plus and I'm writing hello. So I'm trying to add two strings together and run it. You see, like they got joined together, right? Because it's like when you use plus operator for strings, we call it like concatenation, adding them together. So hey plus hello, it's hey hello concatenated together. So if I want to do something like this, hey plus without quotation, if I write anything and run it, it would throw error. Name Python is not defined. So to make it a string, either you have to say single or double quotation, both are okay. So what do you think would happen if I do this? What do you think would be the output? You can even put it in the chat or unmute, like hey plus 5,
It'll result hey5
hey 5.
because it's
Okay.
in a string, double quotes.
Yeah.
5 is
Okay, correct. Uh, Let me run it. So correct, hey plus 5, just because 5 is also a string now, just concatenated, right? So what do you think will happen now? Correct. What do you think will happen now? Hey
it'll
plus
throw
5.
error
It will throw error. Why do you think it would throw error?
because we are adding a number to the string.
Correct, exactly. Like when you are adding a number to a string using plus operator, it would throw error. So it gives you a clear understanding of the errors in Python also. It says can only concatenate string to string, but not integer. So whenever numbers, we call it as integers in Python language. So the second rule we are learning here is whenever we are adding both numbers together, you are able to see the output. When you are adding both strings together, you are able to see the output. But when you are adding two different, a string and a number like this, it says like you cannot concatenate string and integer. So we have no control over these things. We are slowly learning how the Python is created by the author. So either to make, either to remove this error, we have to convert this to a string by giving quotations, or we can convert that to a string. There is a function like we can use str function. Inside that you can write 5. Both ways are okay. So we can do this. So we are actually, yeah. So this activity is here, like mixing data types, adding an integer and string. It actually throws error. We have to convert that to a string so that it would give us a output. So and yeah. So this is just the simple operators we have started with. Let's start with the first concept of Python, which is what is a variable. So what is a variable and what are data types? So any programming language you start with, usually we start with this variables and data types because whenever we do some addition on our mind, so for suppose like I say remember 5, then I say like remember 10, and then I say what is first number added it to second number, then you'll think of and say like 5 and plus 10, it's 15. So if I even ask like what was the second number, you'll be answering it's 10. If you want to make the machine to do such operation, like if you want it to remember what is A, what is B, we have to store it in something. Like we have to store it in something so that we can later use it. So that something is nothing but variables in Python, where you can store a value. You can assign a value to a variable and it would store it. So variable, you can say with a simple analogy, it's like a container where you are storing a value. So when you create a variable, so in backend in Python, for suppose I'm creating a equal to 5, so it would create some container like in the backend where it store the value 5 inside it. So names, and we are assigning some names for it. So names that you can assign values to, allowing you to reuse them later on. Once you save a equal to 5, later you can do like a plus 10. It will automatically gives you the output 15 because it will give get the value of a from 5. Now you might be getting a question like a is a text. Will it not throw the error like before when I said like a plus 5? It's not mixing data types, that would be the question, right? So whenever you write anything inside quotation, only then it becomes a string. When you write a value like this and you're assigning using this equal to operator a value to it, they become variables. So there's a difference. Now this a is actually a variable where we are storing value inside it. So when you are naming these variables, there are some rules. As if like humans, we name it, but we don't name like a table, chair. Do use some rules for naming. The same way in Python, for naming these variables, we have few rules. We call it like Python identifiers. So Python identifiers are names used to identify variables, even functions, classes, modules. All this we are going to learn slowly, and other objects in Python code. Here are some key points about about Python identifiers. So the few naming rules are, so you can have anything like small capital letters, small letters, and underscore symbol is also allowed. But when you are naming, no special characters are allowed. Like you cannot name like A@B. Like you cannot use the special characters when you are naming a variable. And you cannot have space like this. So this is also not allowed. Cannot have space. No special characters are allowed. Cannot be Python keywords. Like the words which are already taken by Python. I'll show you what are the keywords. You don't have to memorize those things. For suppose there is this for, in, which are already taken by Python. You cannot use this as variable names. And variable names are case sensitive. If you make a variable a equal to 5 and make a variable a equal to 5, both are different. As a good practice, always name a variable in such a way that it reflects the nature of the value stored in it. So that like you randomly like you store a variable like X, Y, Z, K, like we don't complicate things like that. So usually we give a name for a variable which reflects the value which is stored inside it. So we are going to see how to create a variable here. So first suppose I'm creating a variable a equal to 5. So I'll just write a code a equal to 5 and run it. A variable is created. So I create one more variable which is b equal to 10. One more variable is created. So now if I want to add a plus b, what do you think would be the output would be? So I just created two variables, a equal to 5, b equal to 10. So now I'm adding a plus b. What do you think would be the output?
It's 15.
15, right? So a plus b plus a. So you can reuse these variables. So you see like 5 plus 10 plus 5 again. So you can reuse the variables. Actually, we name them because when you create a variable actually in the backend, no need of going into more details about the backend, but when you create a variable, it's like a container is created and some value is stored inside this container and some random like number, the memory location is created here. So it's difficult to remember this and actually reuse later for addition like this or whatever operation we want to do it. That's the reason for this memory location, we are actually giving some names like this. So if you want to see that memory location for some reason, you can use this function ID of A, you will see the memory location of it. So it's difficult to remember them. So that's the reason we give variable names. So some IDs are created in the backend. So yeah, and we already spoke about rules for naming variables, right? Let's quickly try them. Like if you create a variable 123 ABC equal to 7. So you cannot start a variable name with numbers. So you can have numbers after, but not before. That is one naming rule. And you cannot have special symbols, right? So if I create something like ABC at the rate equal to 5, so invalid syntax, like you cannot have the special characters. Only underscore is allowed. Only special character which is allowed is underscore. So no spacing. So if I say A space B equal to 5, invalid syntax. You cannot create it by space. So you can use underscore like this whenever you're creating a variable with some reason you have to give space. You can give this underscore. And you cannot use special characters like for equal to 5 or 6 because this name is already taken. So so I think is the keyword. Okay. I just wanted to show all the keywords at one place. Right. Okay, let me first change this. So for in is all these keywords which are already taken, we cannot use it here. And I can use the help function to find all the Python keywords. So, okay. Okay, let's show it a little later. It's throwing error. Like just using the help function, we can actually show you all the keywords which cannot be the Python variable names. So, any questions still here? You can try creating your first variable onto your Google Colab and store, like do a simple addition operation or subtraction or with the operators we have learned. Create two variables and do the floor division. Or you can directly put it in the chat so that you start using the collab and get used to this collab environment.
After selecting
How
this
to
code, do we need to select anything? We have to select Python or it will read as Python? How?
Like in the sense you want to you ask like how to code in collab. So like click on this plus code. Like you have to create two variables and do the like save. Like for suppose I want to do the subtraction. I'll create a variable a equal to 8 and b equal to 10 for suppose a minus b. So I can even store it in some variable like c and get the output c. So likewise, choose one operator, whatever you have liked from the above, and try practicing creating the variables like this. Store two values and then do some operation like this onto your Google Colab. But
Okay.
if you have joined later in the class, like I've told you, like you have to make a copy of this document onto the drive. Only then you'll be able to edit it. They have given only view access, so it's better you click on save a copy in drive, and on your copy, try creating this code cells like this. Either click on plus code here, or you can click on plus code from the top, or you can directly do it in some existing code cells. Try doing this activity. If you are able to do it, put thumbs up in the chat.
Instead of
Yeah,
hello,
instead of, yeah, I'm there.
yeah, instead of working on your file, if I
Hmm.
want to open my own new file, how to do that?
Hmm. Yeah, click on this file option on the top, right? So click on file, click on save a copy and drive. If you want to create a completely new notebook, you can click on new notebook in drive, then you'll get an empty notebook where you can start working.
Okay, first I want to go to the Google Colab homepage and do this.
Yeah, so yeah, I've sent you the link. If you just click on it, if you're already logged on to your Gmail ID, you will be able to open this link. But either you
Yeah,
can make yeah, save a copy
when
in
I
Drive or
when I clicking the link, your file is coming. What I want is I want to land in the
new
Google
one,
Colab.
right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Or
you click
ask him
on
to share the screen so we can help because it's getting
like
late. Yeah.
yeah,
My
it's okay.
screen.
Like no, no, it's okay. Like don't share the screen right now. Like after the class, like if you still have such issues, I'll take up. Don't worry. So since this is a recorded session, like your screen gets recorded. So click on file, click on new notebook in Drive so that a new notebook will be created. So I can show it here. Let me share my whole screen.
And can you show where is the drive this file is saved and in which format?
Uh, I'll send you the screenshots. Like I have to open my drive here. So like I'll show you like I'll send you in the WhatsApp after the class like where this will be shown. No issues with that. So click on this new notebook in Drive. So you a completely new notebook will be created like this. So You can name it, you can start working on it, you can create your own text cell. Sorry, there's a code cell I've done.
So here I can write only code and text. That's all.
Yes, code and text. So you can do the code, you can do the text. Yeah.
Run all means the total lines.
Yeah, it's a like an empty new code sheet where you can start working.
No, that is fine. What is the run
Mhm.
all? You
If
know,
you have more, like you can explore these options. Like if you have all these codes executed like this, if want to run everything at once like this, I'll click on run all. So there are more options like to customize. Slowly we'll get into this. If you have only one code cell, then yeah, we manually run it. But if it's a whole sheet with a lot of code cells, you want to run everything and see the final output, you can even run everything all at once. So yeah. And if you are able to do that, then let's discuss about data types.
yeah, Meenakshi,
So,
if you can explain that menu, no, it will be useful. Under file, edit, view, insert, runtime, tools. All this.
like we'll slowly starting, like we're starting with basics, right? Right now, you don't have to use any, like you have this file option, you have to use the save a copy in Drive to create a copy to work on it, and edit option and all, like selecting up a specific cells and all. Whenever anything important is required, I slowly add on to it. Right now, don't complicate. Like we'll start with very basics, like what is this runtime? We can manually, we are able to run it here. So sometimes. You are working on this collab, like you are where somewhere in between, you directly want to run the codes before it. Then using this like run before, run all, run the focused, we kind of use all these parameters. That's it. Like no, like most of the parameters we sometimes never use it also. So don't worry about it. So yeah. And now let's get into the topic of data types. So till now, whenever it's a text, I called it a string. Whenever it's numbers, we called it integer already. So whenever you see the decimal points, it's called as floating point number. So what is this is like in Python, we call this data types. There are primitive four data types. So one is integer, floating point number, one is string, the other one is Boolean. Whenever you see true or false, we call them Boolean values. So how to create this data types in Python? We have rules. For integer, when I'm creating integer, we can directly create an integer without any quotations. So if I'm creating a floating point, I create it without any quotations like this. But whenever I'm creating a string, I create it with quotations like this. And when I do create a Boolean value, which is nothing but true and false value, so we create it with, if I just write true, it would throw error because it's not a string, it's not a Boolean. So whenever you're creating true and false, the rule is no quotations, capital T. It becomes Boolean. For false, capital F. So these are basic rules of data type here. So for numbers and floating point, no need of quotations. For string values, for text quotations, for Boolean, true and false, we give capital T and capital F. We can even check the data type using a function called type. I just created this A. I want to check what is the type of this, data type of it. I can use this function type. Inside it, if you give this variable name, it would show you like it's an integer here. So if you use type on B, it would show you as a floating point. For strings, so these are the four primitive data types. Sorry, it's a Boolean data type. So, but make sure like the node point is true and false. T and F should be capital, no quotations. And variable can store only one value at a time. So you're creating a variable with multiple values. Like I'm creating 5 comma 6. So it would be stored like here 5 comma 6 will be stored because will be going into the topic of data structures for now. But yeah, variable, when you create a variable, it's actually storing a single value inside it. When you want to store multiple values, we have a concept of data structures, which we'll learn like after 2-3 lessons. So, and one more interesting thing about variables is a equal to 5 I'm creating. Let's change the variable name. T equal to 8 or T equal to 10. I just created a variable with two variables with same name. If I want to just see the output which is saved inside T, what do you think would be the output? Will it be 8 or 10 or error?
It'll be 10.
It will be 10. Yeah, correct. So whenever we create a variable, so if you're creating the same name variable again, the later value gets updated. So, okay, I'll write it and show it to you. So whenever you create a variable, and again you're creating one more variable. So usually what happens is in the backend, it's not overwriting this actually, the first variable will also exist, but it will become like a garbage value. It will be like the new variable is created 10. This is also in the backend, like taking up some memory. So in real time when we are working, sometimes we write a code to clear up all this kind of variables which were created, overwritten and such things. So yeah, so when you, yeah, don't get confused with backend things. But whenever you create a variable with same names, the later one gets updated. So that is one thing about variable. And if I let me create p equal to 10 again. What is the output now? T plus 5, sorry, T plus y.
9, 9 plus
It's
15,
15 plus 9.
24.
15. Okay, okay, correct. 24. Later one got updated, right? So again, like whenever you see this with Python environment, like I'm not putting any function like print function before it, but it's printing the output, right? Inside the same code cell, if I'm creating two variables, if I want to print A and B both, like this. You see, like only the output of B got out printed because with Python environment, without print statement, only the last variable which is there inside, like we can print it without print statement. So if you want to see both the outputs of A and B, so we have to use the print statement. Only the last value, like just the last one before execution, will be printed without this print statement. But whenever you want to print something, we have to use this print statement for sure to see the output. We are going to see and talk more about print in the next coming activities. But yeah, since like we are displaying the outputs, just within some in Python environments, this is not possible. Even like directly, you cannot see the output just by writing the B like this. You have to always use the print statement to print it. Just with this collab environment, we have the flexibility like quickly the last value without any print, we can just print it and see what is the value stored inside it. So you can do this activity here where you can create 4 different variables and store the name, age, and gender and the time right now in the variables. So here we created variables with random examples, but here we want to create a variable and name it as name and store a value like some name inside it and then create a variable called gender, age and time and store some values inside it. You can do this activity. Store a string value in a variable, store a integer value in a variable, store a floating point number in a variable, and then you can store even a Boolean value. Store true if it's a male or female, yeah, accordingly, like just for practice. If you're done, you can put it in the chat when you're done with this activity. Okay. Mm. So I'll also start creating 4 variables from my end. So I did create 4 variables here. Like first I created name variable, stored value John inside it. Then age, I stored 45 inside it. Time 8.51. Gender, since I've mentioned in the comment like false for male, I just wrote false here. So all this 4 are variables on the left side. And if it's a string, I given quotations here. Then if it's integer and floating point, no quotations. If it's true or false, I maintain the rules like capital T or capital F here and run it. You don't see any output here, right? We just created variables. In the backend, 4 variables are created. So just before like printing this, I wanted to show this also. Like we got the error like when I wanted to show the keywords, I was not giving the quotations for this. So all these are the keywords inside Python which cannot be used as variable names. False, class, continue. You don't have to remember it, but like whenever you want, like try to take the help of this help function inside it, write the keywords, but like me, don't forget the quotations. So just give the quotations so that you get the list of all the keywords which are existing in Python, which cannot be used as the variable names. Okay, let's not deviate. So let's come back. So we have created this 4 variables, right? So if you want to print this, we need to have the print statement. So without print statement, we just created this 4 variables in the backend, but we're not able to see any output here. So whenever you use the print function like this, we can print the values. Like if I just want to print name here, so print name, name is the variable here. So if I use print statement with name with quotations, it would print whatever is inside the quotation. See the difference when you're printing a variable. So when you created a variable, so don't confuse with the English language, like it's name is always text there, but here when you use the syntax to create something like this, it becomes a variable where you are assigning value John to it. When you are printing it, so it would print the value stored inside the variable name here. So, but whenever you give quotations, whatever is inside this quotations would be printed. So the string concept is different, variable is different. So if I want to print all 4 variables at once, I'll just write print name, comma, age, comma, time, comma, gender. Then it would print all the 4 variables, whatever value stored inside it. I can even add in text and variables combination like print my name is the variable name here. So it would be my name is John. So this name is different, this name is different. So if you're learning it for the first time, see this carefully because all these things are the starting points where you start learning, like it's like ABCD of new human language. So these are the rules we start learning, then we'll slowly build new topics over it. So any questions with this? Printing variables and names?
No.
Okay, great. So we'll not like we'll continue with print statement tomorrow, like how to uh, use this print statement, more about print function, like you can use few parameters inside it. And if you have the combination of quotations, how it would be if you want to print something in a new line, all these concepts we'll learn tomorrow about print function. For today, if someone's interested to know how a machine learning model works till end, you can stay. If you feel like that will overwhelm you, like if you're learning for the first time, you don't want to look at those complicated things right away. So you can leave the session. If you have no questions, you can join back tomorrow. We'll continue with basics of Python. The lessons would be the same like this. We'll be continuing tomorrow with new additional other than print statement. We'll add few more concepts like how to increment a value, then loops, then functions, then conditional statements. We'll build all the important concepts of a programming language. So that would be the agenda for tomorrow. So today, yeah, I'm giving this information. Like if you are interested, you can stay in so that I can show you quickly how a machine learning model code would look like on a real data set, how the coding part would look like. So here. So for machine learning modeling on a iris data set. So if we have a new data set, what we have to do is first we have to get the data set onto the Google Colab environment. There are many different ways of getting it. So we usually like upload it or we put it in the Google Drive and get the access. First thing is to get the Google like data set onto the Google Drive. So here I have used a very easy way of getting the data set because there are libraries inside Python where it provides few data sets for practice. So likewise, yesterday we just got the tips data set, right? Like that, I got this iris flower data set. So wherein I have inside this flower data set, description of data is it's a popularly known iris dataset and it has actually three classes of 50 instances each. I'm not going into more details. I'll quickly show this in 2 minutes. If someone's, I personally got the request like they wanted to show the machine learning model. There are a lot of concepts to be learned to understand it completely end to end. My agenda to show you here, this is to show you like how the coding part would look like. So if you have a data set, once you load it, we import the necessary libraries like this. Once you import the necessary libraries, we have to import the data set. So data set can be size of 1 lakh data points, 2 lakh data points, but here we have a data set where we have only 150 rows, 150 rows in 5 columns. So for three different flowers, we have the length and so we have like sepal and petals. So the data set has 4 columns where you have this sepal length and petal length and sepal width and petal width. So based on this length and width, this particular machine learning model has to classify whether it is belonging to Iris setosa species or versicolor species or virginica based on these dimensions. So once you train a model on this data set where existing data is there, which is labeled, where it already knows like based on this sepal length and petal length, whether this belongs to setosa, versicolor or virginica. If a new flower's sepal length, petal length are given, this model should be able to classify whether it is a species of setosa, versicolor or virginica. This is actually a new actually a real data set by a biologist. So you can read more about it in Wikipedia if you are interested. So based on the length and petal, so we have to classify them. So any data set, like depending on problem, is a flower data set. So either we can solve it with machine learning and machine learning model or not. We have to make sure based on this petal length or sepal length, are we able to separate them into different species? We have to see some logic through it, right? That's the reason we usually first check if there are any anomalies or missing values, and accordingly we work on it. But here we don't have any missing values on this data set, no need of working on this missing values and all. Then all the columns has to be numerical columns to work with the machine learning models. So we have a column with string like text here. So we use some logic yeah, I've used the map function here, but how to use it and all now it's not on the first lesson. We have to convert everything to numerical values so that a machine learning model understands. So then we do some exploratory data analysis after cleaning. So we have seen yesterday's steps, right? So I have created scatter plots between length on x-axis, width on y-axis. I have used parameter called hue. I know like all of this is new, but when you run it, so you can see like all three species in different colors. So the setosa, you can clearly see that we can separate it like this, but other two species are overlapped when I used width and length. So to reach this point in real time, we have to do some analysis. You have to use your logical skills to think of, okay, I can create a plot between this length and width and see if I can, if there is any pattern or not. There would be no blueprint on a data like, these are the steps to be performed. If you work on more data sets, you kind of get practice and the solutions or hints would come up. So it's all like more practice on more data sets. So then I've decided like sepal length, sepal width, there is this overlapping. Let me see between petal length and petal width. Then, yeah, so using petal length and petal width, maybe it's clearly separable, and maybe again little overlapping is there, but still at least we understand that using this length width of different species, we can separate them into different species of flower. So this data set is legit. We can do solve it using machine learning model. And whenever new flowers lengths are given, the model will be able to classify if a petal length is small and petal width is small, it would be belonging to Setosa class according to this data set. If it's of medium range, it would have become versicolor species based on the details. Maybe if the flower is not grown properly and all, then the rare cases would always be there. So we do some data visualization, data, we call it like exploratory data analysis. After doing this, you kind of get some insights. Then model building would look like this. So there are different machine learning models. We have to decide which model to use. So once you use it, like we separate the data into training and testing. One is to train the model, one is for testing the model before we launch it into the production. So the same data set, we separated them into features, like we have to separate them into questions and answer. What are the questions? What are the answers? So there are some ready-made functions for that also. You separate it. Usually, like if you have a whole data set, we separate 80 to 70% data to training, 30% you keep it aside. Like in school also, you have the curriculum and the examination. So usually like you study and then you have the exam. So here also you train the model, then you test the model. So this three lines of the code is nothing but it's a there's a machine learning model called decision tree classifier. To for training this the three lines of code we write it where you create object of this class and you train the model using this one line of code. So the coding part, when I say like you get used to, it's not like coding oriented topic. Data science is somewhere more of the logical skills, analytical skills are used. The coding part is kind of repetitive when you start learning, and like similar kind of codes, but yeah, so which code to use, like how to improve a model, all depends on the analytical skills. So you write this fit function, you train the model, then predict function is the ready-made function to test on the test set. Like when you're testing, you give only questions, right? You don't give answers. So you give only this length, width, and all. You don't give this answers when you're testing. So here you have this species is the testing answers, right? All these four other questions. So when you provide these questions, the model has to classify whether it belongs to this setosa or versicolor or virginica depending on this length and width. So you don't give answers when you're testing, and when you test it, the model is going to do the prediction. Like, so here also I just created a variable C. So then after testing, we have to evaluate. So again, for that also you have the ready-made functions. You have to evaluate whether the model has actually classified it correctly or wrong. So we have something called confusion matrix classification report. So how to read this, like how to read a confusion matrix, how to read a classification report. Right now, don't worry about it. Then you evaluate it. So the 4 steps are done on a easy data set like this. So and depending on the problems, like if you have missing values, then you have more pre-processing steps. Like if you are not able to quickly understand just by the scatter plot, you do a lot of exploratory data analysis. That's the reason they do it in 5, 6 months or 7 months, not like in 2 minutes like this. Then the model building, the codes would be like this, but whether you want to use the 4 columns or 2 columns, so with knowledge, like with depending on the data set, we make all kind of these decisions when you're doing it in real time. So you rebuild the models, you get this report. Then if it is not always 100% like this, so it would be 20%, 30%. Then we think of how to improve the model and all that you learn slowly right away. Don't complicate it. This is how a model building will look like in for machine learning. We have used decision tree classifier. That's the reason I've just put in like in the backend, like to understand how a decision tree classifier looks like. This is how it does. Like it would create some tree-like structure in the backend when it is tree, like a root node. It will split based on a condition. So it's like making a flow chart with condition. Like usually, if you have a question like, "Are you hungry?" If yes, you go to one side. If you know, go to one side. And then, "Are you hungry?" Yes. What time it is? If it is lunchtime, then you go a lunch plan. If it's dinner time, you go for dinner plan. So likewise, based on questions, you're splitting, right? When you use this decision tree classifier, something like this happening in the backend. Each machine learning model has a different concept in the backend. And in this course, like it's not like coding part and all. When you are using decision tree classifier, we should be able to understand what is happening in the backend, what is the math behind it. So we like in even in interviews, they don't ask you what are the codes like this, the coding part. They usually ask like how a decision tree classifier is able to work in the backend. So even you can visualize the tree for this iris data set. This was the tree which was formed in the backend when I've trained this model. So based on this tree, when a new data set comes in, petal length comes in, it would follow these rules. Like machine learning is no magic. It's all the rules in the back end. It's all math, stats, probability. Nothing magic, nothing like random there. It's all some algorithms in the backend. So we just have to learn these algorithms, which are existing, because creating these algorithms, researchers would have taken like 10 years, 15 years, but we have to learn them how they have created. We are not creating anything new. Creating new is like a research topic. So based on this decision tree, it would check if the petal length is less than 2.45, it would go to the left side, right side. So when you start learning a machine learning model, you will be able to understand each and every term written over here, and you will be able to comprehend everything. For now, just to give you a confidence, like this is how a machine learning model building would look like. If you didn't understand anything out of it, don't worry, just don't complicate things. You can just leave it. But today's lesson, you should be able to understand what is print, what is variable, how to use a Google Colab notebook. So today's outcome, I expect after the class, you should be able to load the Google Colab notebook, create a copy of it, able to do the coding part inside it, and do understand what is a string, what are the basic data types, how to create a variable, only 2 concepts. So yeah, we'll stop it here today. We'll continue tomorrow. But if you have questions, you can stay back. We'll discuss. If not, take care. Bye bye. See you tomorrow at same time, 8 o'clock, with basics of Python again. We'll continue with basics of Python. So, any questions?
Yeah, I mean, actually, this Google Colab is confusing to me.
Okay, no
I-
issues. After we stop the recording. You stay back. I'll try to guide you with all
Yeah.
your questions.
Yeah. Okay, I'll stay back.
Yeah, sure. Any other questions? If no questions, you can drop off. Like we'll see you tomorrow with
Yeah, thanks, Meenakshi. Bye. Good night.
bye bye. Bye bye. Good night. Yeah, yours. Any questions, Ram and Gautam? If not, yeah, you can just okay. So yeah, I'll stop the recording.